Hello and welcome back for another video. If this is your first time here, say hi. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Denise and I just started my YouTube channel. So last week I did a get to know me tag. So if you're interested in watching that, I'll go ahead and leave the link for that below. But this week is all about this little guy. This is my son, Cedar Andrew Graves, and he just turned 1. I know, it's like, guys, seriously, all the cliche things that parents past say are true. They blink and then they're all grown up. And so today's video is all about how he came into this world. I had kind of a gnarly, not normal birthing story, if you will. And so I thought I would share that with you guys today. So when I was about 12 weeks pregnant, I was told that I was going to be a high-risk pregnancy, that one of my hormone levels were low. They didn't really tell me a technical term or anything. They just said that I was at high risk for preterm labor and preeclampsia. So being 30 years old and had a healthy diet and was fairly active, I didn't think that I was gonna be high risk, but you never know. This is he was my first pregnancy and my first baby, and he is definitely a tangible miracle. So I just kind of want to walk through kind of my experience. He is what's called IUGR, and that's what he was born, which stands for intrauterine growth restriction. And I remember when he was born kind of trying to find any information on what that is. So essentially, he just stopped growing in utero. So again, when I was 12 weeks, I got diagnosed with the preterm labor and preeclampsia, and so they just said that they were going to be monitoring me very, very closely, which meant more ultrasounds and doctor's visits, which I didn't mind at all, because any chance I got to hear his little heartbeat was just another just happy day for myself and for my husband, Matt. And at 26 weeks, I remember having an ultrasound, and the technician was like, when's your due date? And I told her it's May 17th, and she was very, not combative, but just, got a wiggle worm. Just like, oh no, they must have gotten that wrong, because he's really small. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, like, that's just what they told me. And then I remember talking to my OB about it, and she's like, well, you're a tinier woman, so you might be likely to have a tinier child. That's normal. And so I was like, okay, I didn't think anything of it. And then I had another ultrasound at 31 weeks, and that was on a Tuesday. And I just remember, again, like, I could see it in the tech's eyes, and I'm like, yes, I know, baby is small. He's been measuring small all pregnancy. And she was like, oh, okay. And she's like, well, the baby's breech. And I'm like, okay, that means his head is on top and his feet are on the bottom. And, hey, come here. Come here. Okay, are you okay? You want to watch? I'm sorry, guys. So that means his head is on top and his feet were on the bottom. And so I'm like, okay, well, I have 9 weeks for him to turn. So I was just like, okay, all pregnancy, there's always been something wrong at every ultrasound. So I'm like, why should this one be any different? So that was on a Tuesday. And then on that Thursday, so just 2 days later, I get a call. Hi. Hi, Bubba. You okay? Are you tired? Do. Yeah? Oh, he's so tired. So that Thursday, I got a call from my OB, and with Kaiser, I have Kaiser. So with them, they don't really assign you an OB. It's kind of whoever is on call that night. So they recommend for you to see as many of their doctors as possible. But there's something about this OB that I just loved. She was the calming voice throughout my entire pregnancy. Even when she had to deliver bad news, she did it with such grace and love and joy that she just made everything just feel right. But when she called me, I could tell that something was wrong. She said, baby is measuring very small. He's measuring about 24 weeks. And again, I was 31 weeks at this time. So she's like, I made an appointment for you to see an ultrasound specialist. She's like, go now. He knows you're coming. And so I was at work at that time. It was around noon or 1 when she called, and I instantly just started crying. I'm like, great, like, what am I in for? But that was just kind of how my pregnancy went. Every single ultrasound, there was always something. And so I'm just like, okay, I'm going to go and kind of see what's happening this time around. And so I get to the ultrasound specialist, and he's like, well, baby's measuring about 25, 26 weeks. So I was like, okay, that's a little bit better. And the baby's breech. And so I'm like, yeah, I knew that. And he said, so you'll probably have a cesarean. I'm just like, well, I have 9 weeks for the baby to turn. And he said, my recommendation is for you to deliver at 32 weeks. Actually, he's being a little wiggly, so I'm just going to set him down real fast. I will be right back to finish the story. So his recommendation was for me to deliver at 32 weeks, and I was just like, that's in 6 days. Like, oh my goodness. I didn't want to be that first-time mom that had everything ready at 30 weeks, even though I really wanted to be that mom. I wanted to have my diaper or my hospital bag ready and with my birthing plan and all that stuff. But I was like, no, I'll wait. So I didn't have anything ready. So he's like, we're actually going to send you to the hospital right now. You're going to have a non-stress test, and we're going to have you get some steroid shots to help the baby's lungs mature a lot faster. And they said you'll probably deliver on Monday because we're going to have you come back and do another ultrasound. But any ultrasound that's irregular, we're actually just going to have you deliver that day. So you might deliver today. And I'm like, oh, okay, right? Right, Cedar? So I actually text my husband, Matt. I didn't call him because he works in production. And so he's on set, so I can't call him because I knew he wasn't going to answer. So I sent him a text, and I call it the text that will forever live on. It says, I'm heading to the hospital. I might deliver today. And that was it. And I remember calling my mom and kind of cueing her in as to what's going on. And we show up at the hospital around 5-ish, and we get admitted. They start doing the non-stress test, and they give me like the sugary cocktail concoction, and I think I'm in triage for about 2 hours maybe at this time, maybe a little bit more. And they're like, oh, you're not going to deliver today. Like, you'll probably deliver Saturday. And I'm like, okay, well, that's in 2 days still. And so they're like, okay, well, the baby's not responding the way we'd like him to respond. Whenever he kicks, his heart rate is actually dipping instead of increasing. So we're going to admit you overnight. And so I was like, okay. Up to this point, the only time I had cried was when I got the initial phone call, and it was actually freaking my husband out because I am an emotional person. If you know me, I'm all tears. Any little thing, like a commercial or like someone singing, can make me cry. But when I heard that I was going to get admitted, I instantly broke down again because I think all the stress of the day just kind of came crashing down on me. So I get admitted, and so they move me over to the observation room where they're going to watch me overnight. I'd already gotten my first steroid shot. They said, well, administer the next one tomorrow. And I remember just starting to get acquainted with my nurses that are going to be watching me overnight. And I kid you not, within 5 minutes of being put into my new room, the doctor, who I don't think I mentioned, was a doctor that I had never visited with at Kaiser before. So it was like brand new doctor. I'm told that I might deliver. And so it was just all the chaos that you can think of. Came in and said, hey, so we're going to get this baby out tonight. I'm like, okay, so what's our timetable looking like? And they're like, he'll be out within the next hour. And I'm like, oh, I can just I think I remember locking eyes with Matt, my husband, and kind of thinking, okay, it's go time. And so I just remember a bunch of nurses just descending on me and prepping me for the OR, and everything happened very, very quickly. It was within the next hour, and they introduced me to all these other doctors and nurses, and we get into the OR, and they introduced me to the NICU nurse and the RT they're gonna be working on your child. And so I'm like, oh, okay. He like gets his own team. And I just remember laying there, I told Matt, I'm like, your job is to distract me. Like, any way possible, just keep me distracted while everything that was happening behind the curtain happened. And then I remember hearing it, boy, 8:48 p.m. And then instantly thinking, okay, like he's here. My son is here, and being so happy. And then seeing them take him over to the table, and the first thing I said was, he's so tiny. And so they start working on him, and I hear 1 pound 14 ounces, and I'm like, whoa, okay, he's really tiny. And I hear his little whimper cry, and I instantly start crying. Just like this, only, whew, sorry guys. It's been a whole year, and I'm just so grateful that he's still with us. So I instantly start crying, and the anesthesiologist starts like petting my head, and she's just like, those are tears of joy. And if you know me, you know I have a fiery personality. And inside my head, I'm like, I know those are tears of joy. But I was just so happy that he was finally here. And so the diagnosis, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, was IUGR, which is intrauterine growth restriction. And that just means that he stopped growing in utero. And so the best chance that Cedar had to survive was for them to extract him from me. And they did a pathology report on my placenta, and they couldn't really give me much details off of that either. They just said it happens. There's no fault of your own. That I did everything that I could by maintaining a healthy lifestyle and being active when I could be active, or just remaining on bed rest if I needed that. But he was just so tiny, and he was actually in the NICU for 9 weeks. He came home the day after his original due date, and I do want to do a NICU video as well, so kind of how we survived those 64 days in the NICU. But I just felt like at first I needed to share Cedar's story on how he got here, and I actually didn't get to hold him until a week after he was born. So he was born, and they stitched me back up, and I get put into the post-op, and he goes to the NICU with my husband. And then I just remember the OB comes back in, and he's like, cute, cute, cute. Oh my goodness. All the nurses say that he's so cute. And I'm like, well, I just want to see him. And I actually didn't get to see him until the next day. So he was born at 8:48 p.m. and I didn't get to see him until the next evening because they didn't know if I was bleeding internally or what was going on. My levels were just really, really low. So I was either going to have to go back into the operating room or I would have to get a blood transfusion. And so I was just like, well, if I have to go back into the OR, can I please at least see my son? And I just remember seeing him, and he was in his little isolette, and I call them the stunner shades because he was under the purple light that helps with jaundice. And yeah, you having flashbacks? And so they have like little kind of like a night masks, if you will, but it has like sunglasses on them. So I just thought that was really funny. But I remember seeing him and just like he had all this spaghetti on him and gunk on him, and just thinking, wow, I am so grateful that he's here. And I don't know what the rest of our journey in the hospital is gonna look like, but I'm just so grateful that they got him out when they did, and that he is the little miracle that he is. So I'm gonna go grab him back again so he can say goodbye to you guys. And you're back. Hi, buddy. And so, do you want to play with this? And so this is actually one of the toys that we took in the NICU for him. So we had to put his name on everything just to make sure. You like your octopus? Yeah, or maybe not. Hey. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do do do. So the little 1 pound 14er is now 16 and a half pounds. And like I said, we just celebrated his first birthday. And he is just a tiny bit mighty. He's a little fighter. Yeah, and he just has such a strong personality already. We saw that in the NICU, and we're seeing it every more with each passing day. And I just wanted to thank you guys so much for watching this video and just getting a glimpse into Cedar's life. And if you're a mama who has an IUGR baby, know that I am here if you want any or have any questions, or just if your baby's in the NICU right now and you just need a soundboard, I'm totally here for you as well. You can feel free to leave a comment below or just send me a DM, PM, what are the M's called? One of the M's. Just send me a message and I am happy to have that conversation with you. If you liked this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel, and that way you get a notification every time we post a new video. So I think that's all for today. Again, thank you so much. And Cedar, do you want to say bye? It's his bedtime, you guys. So say bye. Bye, guys. Have a great day. Bye. Fist pump. Woo, woo.